All right. Hopefully, hopefully there's some sound. There we go. All right. If you can hear some sound, just let me know with a what, a one in the chat or hands up like my daughter showed. Put a one in the chat if you can hear the sound. Uh, Testing 1 2 sound check 1 2 1 2. Let me go in here and see if the mic, make sure the mic is right. I might need to turn up the thing here. Okay, test 1 2. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Okay. Mic check. Mic check. Okay. All right. Everybody's able to hear me now. Okay, so anyway, let me go ahead and minimize that screen there. So shout out to all those standing up for the cause. You understand, all those who have been representing hardcore and not bowing to any negativity or anything that would be counterproductive um, to our objective. Shout out to all. So let me go back here. I can go ahead and stop sharing that. So, family, we as always we've got our hand full. We got our task. We got some major tasks to deal with, and as you see floating at the bottom of the screen, the hashtag is Free Chrystal Kizar. Um, I'm going to say it like this. They like to say the saying "All lives" or "Black Lives Matter" or "All Lives Matter" or whatnot. I'm going to say "Black Tears Matter." And why am I saying that? Is because often, you know, I'm noticing that I don't believe enough attention is being given to those people who are perpetually suffering in predicaments that many of us may not be aware is actually going on in real time in and around our life, in our circumstances. Here we have a young sister, Chrystal Kizar, who at the time, if memory serves me correctly, was age 17. A black sister, a black woman, a minor, and she was a victim of a particular crime that's actually rampant, in this country. You understand? It's not a small matter. It's not something that we could just tuck up and under the rug and hope it goes away someday. This is an actual ongoing, live, real time issue. And here we have where the real actual criminal in the story, an individual, let me get something up here for you, by the name of Randall Voller. Hold on a second here. I'm going to share. I think I can. Oh, I know what I gotta do. So, give me a second here. I just want to put this picture up. Okay. Yes, indeed. Welcome, welcome. I see the family coming in. Ophelia, Sister Ann, Sister Ophelia, Sister Leslie, or Leslie. Welcome. Let me. Oh, I had the folder minimized. Okay. So let's go to this here. There we go. Okay. All right. I just need to get this folder open. Um. So we're going to share this screen. First, I'm gonna start off by sharing the person concerned. right here, what you see is, maybe I can minimize it. Okay, there we go. This is Sister Chrystal Kizar. I want to show this picture because I noticed that as we see the pictures that are going around, it tend to be the ones showing her, in her uh, jailhouse garb or whatnot. I want to show her in a position of achievement because this is the person that was the victim and is the victim. You understand? This is Chrystal Kizar. You understand? And we need to see people in their finest and not in their gloom stage. To get an understanding of what kind of person we're talking about. We're not dealing with some mischief maker per se. We're dealing with an actual person who's a victim of a heinous crime known as sex trafficking. You understand? So that is Sister Kizar right there. Let me go ahead and minimize that. And now I want to show you the what are you doing? What are you doing over here? Are you playing with your food again? The criminal in this situation. And yes, criminal without any, biting of the tongue or anything. So this person right here, this is the I want to get his name right. I got it right here. So that right there is Randall Voller. Randall Voller, who is now dead. You understand? He is, pretty much where he should be in the ground. As this was the person who was at the receiving end of the bullet that Sister Kizar needed to use in order to protect herself in fear of her life, her dignity, and what have you. As a result of being subjected, as many other underage girls were, by the same individual, mind you, where she had to defend herself. His life was taken as a result. We do, understand that self-defense goes in very deep here. She feared for her life and obviously not wanting to be subjected to any further atrocities, braved up and put the man to rest, ending any further aggressions he likely intended for her. You can find more information. I'm going to show you a clip here. This is a Fox News clip. Before I show you that clip, I want to show you this little, what do you call it? What do you call this? Exclaimer or whatever. Let's look at that exclaimer. Yeah. So before I do that, let me go ahead and show you this exclaimer. That way nobody tries to say, oh, you're showing our stuff and, free use, fair use or whatever. Fair use. Right here, as you see, fair use. I'm, borrowing this from somebody else who's using the fair use. This video is under fair use, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purpose of such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research, which we're definitely doing all of that. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit or educational or purpose or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. All rights and credit go directly to its rightful ownership. No copyright infringement intended. Enjoy. Boom. There you go. All right. So there's that. Let me go ahead and show you this clip. And so I can get it out here. Show you this clip. To show you that one of the things I want you to see out of this is we're not alone in our sentiments here with this situation. This isn't some minuscule, where just a select few know about it. This is definitely growing. Pardon me, my sons are waking up. Go ahead and check this out. Okay. So check this out. I'm hoping that you can hear. Wait, hold on. Let me stop that because I didn't. I learned my lesson the last time. I gotta press share audio system. There we go. Check it out. Okay, so there's that. Stop sharing. Okay, let me. All right. So there you have it, family. Did I just? Yeah, I did, didn't I? I minimized it and exit. Hold on. Okay. I closed out my commentary by accident there. Pardon. So that's just to give you a bit of some framework of. I'm being told there's no sound. Oh wow. Well, what I'll do is I'll put that link. I'll put the link of that clip that I put there. I'll put the link in the chat here. In fact, I think I could do that now. And when you have the opportunity, make sure you go and check that out. Okay, here. Make sure you go and check that out. I got a lot going on. Here is the link to that video. I'm going to put it in the chat. Okay, so there's a link to that video if you want to check it out at your convenience. What is very interesting here in this, when you watch that video, one of the things that I noticed was the judge making it a point to say that, quote unquote, this is a crime, the most serious crime known to man, taking another human being's life. And it's as if, by saying this, he's saying nothing about the so-called, the cause of the so-called crime. The cause being the actual criminal, the sex trafficker. You understand? I mean, you're saying that to take a sex trafficker's life who's trafficking you, that's worse than you being sex trafficking. Now, I understand that reporter wants to say don't jump to conclusions, but that's not what's happening here. You understand? This is something that any person with a sense of empathy, a sense of moral values, would recognize what's happening here and who the real criminal is. Basically, the judge is saying that an underage girl should just suffer and continue suffering until perhaps one day, 1 month, 1 year, the perpetrators are discovered and apprehended. Mind you, this was not a sudden event. In other words, this man didn't just begin his escapades, but had been doing this for some time with many others. You understand? Who are also involved in the same thing. To this, I challenge this particular judge with the question: what does a young black girl do when she feels she has no means of escaping a sex criminal? Since according to you, sir, her response in fear of her life is the worst act a human being can commit. Sir, are you suggesting then that it is okay for an adult male to take and violate the body of a young girl against her will, or worse, sell her body to the highest bidder to do the same? I know you won't answer this. The least he may do is speak vaguely and continue to avoid the trauma this young sister was going through. I will be frank. This is clearly another case where if you were to put all the characters involved here, switch them around, where the perpetrator, the criminal, was a black man, and the victim was a young, a 17-year-old white girl, you please answer me honestly how this would have turned out. 9 times out of 10, that black man would be 6 feet beneath the ground, and nobody would bat an eye about the matter. The white girl would be heroic to this day. So, many of you may not be aware of this, but this is actually, there's similarities in this case with another case that took place. I think it was a 15-year-old sentence that this Centoya Brown ended up serving a 15-year sentence for almost a similar element, where she was also caught up in a sex trafficking ring. So we want to. I want to be able to invite some sisters on to be able to break this down and us to talk about it. I also want to share with you firsthand. I'm in the state of Ohio, and in this state, I want to get the information right. So give me just a second here. And this is something big in Ohio, because this Ohio is like I believe it's number 6 or something as far as its weight in the country. You understand? So when something happens in Ohio, it's no small matter. It's not quite like New York or California, but it still bears weight. Let me see if I could find that real quick again. Nope, don't put that on the floor. Why do you always want to knock stuff on the floor when you're done with it? You always want to knock stuff on the floor. Anyway, there's something particular about this that I want. The reason why I want to talk about this is something particular that I'm noticing about these features. You have in Ohio 200 and what was the number? Let me find that number again. I know it's 200 and something. I think. All right, go to bed then. All right, so off she goes. So anyway, that's just something that I wanted to point out. That if anybody has been paying attention to the trends in this element, this is something that. And it's no wonder that this is a hard situation to push, because the people that are in positions of authority, many of them are the ones that you have to go to try to make a case. Well, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring in our sisters that are on the panel here. You may recognize that the Sisters of the Underground are with us today, as well as Sister Achoti. The Sisters of the Underground have been on here before, so is Sister Achoti. We're going to introduce the Sisters of the Underground first, starting with Dr. Oh man, I'm just going to bring you in, and you should be able to. I think your mic is muted. So do I have it muted, or do you have it muted? No, you do. So your mic is, yeah. All right, there we go. Peace and blessings, dear sister. Welcome to Soul Journey of Life. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm going to let you pronounce your name.
Karase.
Karase. You did say that. Karase, welcome. Then next we have Lesedi. Sister Lesedi coming in. Peace and blessings. Welcome. Then we're going to bring in Sister Cash X. Peace and blessings, Sister Cash X. And we have, she's with us this time. Sister Marie Ndoto. Peace and blessings, sister. Good to have you on the live with us. Welcome to Soul Journey of Life. And then finally, our dear sister, respected Sister Achoti. Peace and blessings, Sister Achoti. Your mic is off also.
Shalom, family. Shalom.
Shalom. It's good to have you all here.
Peace and blessings.
It's good to have you all here with us today. Let's see here. As I mentioned, hold on a second here. I did that wrong. I wanted to do that, but not that way. This way. There we go. Here's the thing. As you can see, this is
my sound is so low.
Can you hear me? CashX, Sister CashX?
It's low. I'm not sure if it's me or not. I'm gonna come off and come back on the show and see if it's maybe me. And
All right.
I'll be right back.
Okay. This isn't a small matter. And I got my sound going on over here. Okay, there we go. This is no small matter. And it's something that I believe that, not only should we shed more light on it, but I feel like there should be a discussion of measures that the community can take. You understand? Measures that the community can take while positioning ourselves in a way where we're not waiting around for someone else to do something about it, because you see how well that's going. I'm going to be asking you questions, and either of you are able to step up and speak about it. I'm gonna start off like this. As I mentioned earlier in my briefing, with this matter being in many ways similar to the Centolia Brown case, who ended up serving a 15-year sentence, my question here is, what will it take for a clear victim of sex trafficking to be seen as innocent by the established court system? Do they have what it takes? Or do they have to wait and behave as good little sex slaves until someone discovers their predicament? Where's the logic? Where's the reasoning playing out in the justice system for this? Or perhaps it is designed in this way, or there are elements involved that will cause failure no matter what. What do we do? Anyone can come up with that?
Well, that's a pretty loaded question. Well, first of all, federal law says that anyone who is bought and sold for the purposes of sex under the age of 18, that is automatically a sex trafficking crime. So that's pretty much cut and dry. So that is the law, okay? However, every state has their own, I would say, interpretation of that. Just as I would say, or just as a comparison so everyone understands what I'm saying, certain states have declared marijuana as being legal. However, the federal government has not. So you understand the difference.
Yes.
But going back to the point. So when it comes to sex trafficking, people noticing and whether or not the law will actually protect them is relative. The law is there. However, you first have to recognize it as a crime. And even though there is a crime on the book, does not mean that the people involved see it as a crime.
Right.
When you started this broadcast, you listed off people in high authority, people in the government who currently participate in this. So when the people who are in these positions of authority, who are in these positions to actually prosecute a crime or bring charges, don't see a crime, then that question is moot.
Okay.
It won't happen.
So go ahead. You had more?
Yeah, so what happens is it starts by being vocal about it. As long as you're silent, and this is what happens to marginalized communities, marginalized populations, especially African-American women,
Okay.
where our voices are not heard or our voices are ignored. If you do not speak up about it, if you do not call attention to it, then it will continue to be ignored. When you see things like this happening, you need to get out there. You need to make the phone calls. You need to call higher government over the city where you live, because they are not the end all and be all of what happens. And it's the loudest will that that gets the attention.
To drive further in that point that you're talking about regarding how Black women in this country are not taken at full value, so to speak, when it comes to their experiences and testimony, it reminds me of a situation where there was a mother you understand, who was giving birth, and she was going through some of the pains of birth, but because she was a Black woman, they didn't respond to her needs promptly because they felt, quote unquote, she can handle it. You understand? When if it was anyone else, they would have rushed right in there, you know, had everybody, you know, on code. But when it came to her, they, you know, they just had this notion that, oh, because she's Black, she can handle it, she can go through it, she ain't really as suffering as much as she says she is. Okay, so I'm talking about the mindset that when people see like, that's why I said when I used the example, if even Black man or white man, if that was a little white girl, there would have been an outrage all over the country. Everybody in their mammy and pappy would have had something to say if that was a little white girl, that she would have been shown, she would, in her innocence, they would have shown and put it there, like where you could clearly see that she is the victim without shadow of doubt, and she would have been made a hero because of the same outcome. But when it is a Black sister, you understand, the idea that she could possibly be innocent is like it's not even put on the same level. Or she must have did something, or there must have been something that happened. How could she possibly, you know, we get all these silly excuses other than the fact you have a victim here. So I'm saying this, you know, I might be, let me talk about, I might be a little emotional in this situation because there's a lot that I feel this needs to be just blasted. You understand? As you see, I have a daughter. And, you know, when I think of these situations, you know, I just can only imagine, you understand, in the worst scenario, you know, and that's not a scenario that I would want to entertain. You understand? So, you know, we were just, me and my spouse was just talking about, my wife was talking about this back and forth, you know, breaking down why this is such a sensitive issue. Why this isn't some small, you know, conversation. This is a ginormous conversation. So there's some pointed questions that need to be asked. It is clear, I said, it is clear that I was listening to some of the things they were wanting to argue. That they wish to argue against the argument that they wish to have here. To me, it shows a sense of soullessness. Speaking of Chrystul, they want, you know, the prosecutors trying to point out the Facebook antics. You know what I mean? Her boasting and bragging about certain things across Facebook and whatnot, and which really don't prove anything. Because here's the thing: we're dealing with a person who was a minor at the time, not an adult, experienced with the world, experienced with how politics works, experienced with all the this, that, and the other. Just someone who, you know, no matter how you look at it, is a teenager with all that involves, who is the victim. So you can't use a teenager's antics when they've, you know, alleviated the source of their suffering. Then they're trying to find some other way to cope with that reality of how they had to read. I mean, it's not every day that a teenage young lady is out murdering somebody. Nobody does that. You understand? This is a self-defense effort. This is something, a response to an ongoing matter of suffering. So how would a teenager respond when their problem has been alleviated? They still got that on their chest. They still got whatever they've been through on their chest. You understand? The memories, the psychological effects. And now, yeah, the life has been taken, which that's adding on to the effects of how her mind is going to be after that point. So she's not going to behave normally on Facebook, in school, wherever. This is something that's affecting her entire life from the rest of her days. What she needs is not incarceration. She needs family help, community help, people that can build with her, give her a healer, help heal. Not incarceration. This is a young person who has years ahead of her. You lock the pedophiles up for that amount of time. Give them 15 years instead of 2 or 3 years or a couple of months and a pat on the back. Okay.
I agree with that big time. I agree with that big time.
I'm telling you, it's oh man.
Absolutely. What you just described is because she responded just the way she was supposed to.
Yeah.
There is not a cookie way or a cookie cutter manner to respond to trauma. That is exactly what she responded to. She responded to the trauma and the pain that has been inflicted upon her from the abuse that she suffered at the hands of um, the perpetrator. And let's be clear, there is only one victim in this, and that victim is Chrystul.
Right. And for anybody that will see that man as even a hint of a victim, you're a complete fool.
Absolutely.
You understand? I'd say some other words if I was my old me, but you're a complete fool. You understand? And all I want to say is, I mean, if you're not able to even just an increment, a mustard seed worth of empathy in this matter, you have to question, you have to consult your heart. You have to take a look at yourself a little bit and find out what's going on inside. If you think that the worst crime that a person could commit under the conditions of being oppressed, suffering, in this way, and yet let's forget about all that. The worst crime that could be possibly committed is what she did. Get out of here.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like in that scenario, if you want to put another twist on it, it almost looks like, or to me, it looks like she in actuality saved some girls that he probably hadn't gotten to yet. There were other girls in his videotape. She probably stopped them.
Yeah, if she didn't do it, somebody should have done it. Somewhere.
Yes.
If she didn't do it, somebody should have got that guy and put him 20 feet in the ground.
The saddest part is that the police didn't.
I wonder how they went unnoticed that long. Why didn't it look odd that, this petite child is with this man? Just didn't look odd at all. That bothered me.
Well, no, yeah, absolutely, sis. And the evidence they had 3 months prior when they arrested him from videotapes and the evidence that they had with him on film.
And he was still out free?
Yes, they let him out without bond. So there was another female, another teenage girl, I believe she was 15 years old, that had accused him of the same thing. They went to his home and arrested him. They confiscated his computer. They found evidence of sex trafficking. They found evidence of sexual abuse, sexual intercourse. They found a lot. They let him go with no bail. They literally let him walk out.
Yeah. Here's the thing, family.
So they were aware.
Yeah, they sure did.
To our viewers, and by the way, Sister Marie and Dodo, you might have to go out and then come back in. I'm not sure what happened, but it looks like you blipped out. Here's the thing, and this is something, again, we had a heavy discussion before I even got on this live, because I was trying to, just express why this is such a big deal. Many of these sex trafficking rings, they don't discriminate on the age range. You understand? They've got people, children, like babies. You understand? Little children. And what I was trying to express is that, see, as an adult, you have a fighting chance because you can think better. You understand? You can think of tactics and strategy. You understand? Ways to maneuver and whatnot. But the younger you get, the more inexperienced with society you are. You understand? The more you may not be hip to game. You understand what I'm saying? To gimmicks, to trickery, to deceptions. These people, this is an older man, who's probably, who knows what, has a history of being strategic. You understand? Manipulating the children. And when you're a child, you may not have all the tools required to be able to explain what you're going through. You understand? You're going through something and you don't know how to break it down in a way, and not only that, but you might even feel ashamed to where you don't even want to talk about it. And yet it doesn't stop the perpetrator from continuing on their antics. You understand? So this is why, for me, these type of scenarios are worse than murder. You understand? because they're ongoing and they're going on in such a way that, like right now, there's all kinds of victims right now suffering that none of us even know about. That are, they've been taken off. They don't even know where they are. I mean, it takes me back to those scenarios where you had a couple that look like ordinary white folks, skippity doodah, like the dude on the Simpsons, like Oakley Doakley, like that guy, in their basement, caging up children that they, kidnap and going out to work. I mean, can you imagine you're at your job and here comes Sue, like, how are you doing? How are you doing, Sister Cash? How's life going on? And you're thinking everything is cool, but meanwhile in the basement, in their home or whatever, they got lines of cages or whatnot with children locked up in it. Oh man,
yeah, I agree. I think that every neighborhood probably has some weirdness like that going on that's hidden in plain sight. I really feel like that. I feel like sometimes we're missing the signs and those things that stand out to me a little more. Sometime not too long ago, I noticed an abandoned house. Every exit was boarded up, but it was covered in cameras. So what does the camera need to see if the house is abandoned and boarded up?
Right.
The numbers off the house. All of those are red flags that are right in plain sight. And that brings up grooming. I understand that Chrystal Kizar was also kind of groomed by this guy, to feel comfortable enough in the first place. And that's really the first line of defense, is to educate people on what grooming is.
And it affects them deeply in here. It's things that take it develops over time. It's not, see, when we're looking at these type of cases, you're not dealing with something that just pop up, ta-da, here it is, one day, next thing you know, all in one day. These people, you understand, it's not like the movies. You understand, this is real time, real life. These people, I mean, I'm thinking about how people trick you on sales marketing, on like a spamming and whatnot, and how crafty they get with that. You understand? And you just think about how crafty people could be when you're dealing with minors, when you're dealing with people that. Okay, let's go there. We're in a time where the system is trying to legalize underage relationships. There are pockets of politicians actively right now as we speak trying to legalize to where your 12-year-old daughter can give consent. A 12-year-old's attracted by a lollipop. What kind of consent is she going to give? Yes, she wants the lollipop.
That makes you question. Yeah, that makes you question those that are in charge, even lobbying for this. This has always been a long-term plan. I've always heard these stories about how judges and lawyers and how it's a whole organization of them underground that kind of are into this kind of thing, and this right now is just coming to the surface for me.
We've seen situations where mothers will be looking in their purse just for a split second, to get something out of her purse or whatever, and turn and her child's gone. Just like that. What this is telling me, see, the old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. The reason why the village is able to do that, because everybody's paying attention. We got to stop this, this is my business, this is my house, and, that's your house over there, and nobody knows what's going on in their own neighborhood. You understand? Where they don't even know, nobody knows each other, nobody socializes in a way that brings about a sense of commonality, of neighborhoodliness. You understand? To where the old man or the old woman, or how long they've been living there, or they always do the cookouts on Friday, or these guys, nobody knows anything. You understand? This is how these things are able to happen right under people's faces. And like I said, many of these people, I saw the list. There was a brother that posted a picture showing a whole bunch of people who, interestingly enough, tend to be majority Caucasian people. I'm just saying. You understand? When you deal with the numbers, the percentages, that's something to take in consideration.
Well, and let's discuss some of the risk factors that put our children in higher jeopardizing categories.
Yes, let's do.
We know that prior abuse and neglect will make them sustainable to this type of situation. Poverty, homelessness, prior substance abuse, mental health. We can discuss that as well. And our children in the juvenile justice system, all of that contributes to our children being victimized by some sort of trafficker. It puts them at a higher risk because they prey on those what they see as weaknesses in order to get them, that's how they start grooming them.
Can you give an example of the grooming of just some of the I mean, I don't know if you have any documents or anything, like anything on the mind that you can break down. This is just some examples of some of the cases that's happened. Like what happens from the step one to where the victim is apprehended. What happens? What are things that if I'm walking by and I notice some of these signs, what can I recognize? What can I look for?
Well, first we have to get out of the mind that you are going to just walk up on someone and be able to tell that they are a victim. They are groomed to blend in. They are groomed to not stand out as much. So walking past someone and being able to detect that is not how it's going to be done. You have to have conversations with your youth. You have to develop programs, give them an outlet to discuss these things, which is something that we do in our sister circle. We host events that allows them to come in. It's kind of like a therapy session where it's multiple people that have been subjected to this type of lifestyle, or even those that are, currently on the street. We allow them to come in, put a voice behind their pain and suffering. And sometimes that alone will open the door for someone to say, hey, I have been a victim. This guy is holding me against my will. And then we proceed to offer our services. But there's absolutely no way that you can just automatically look at someone and say, hey, that person is a victim of sex trafficking. The only way is for them to voice it. And the only way they're going to voice it is being afforded a platform for them to do so. It doesn't have to be a public platform. It can be a one-on-one conversation. You see a young lady looking like she's sad or looking like she hasn't eaten in a while or just kind of disconnected from...
Time to ask questions. Is that what you're saying? It's time to ask questions.
It's time to ask questions. But not only is it time to ask questions, it's time to move on those answers. We can ask 1,000,001 questions, but if we're not going to do anything with the information that they're giving us, what is the point of having that conversation? It's time to get off our ass and actually get out there. Hold ourselves accountable for our own children. Stop depending on their system to come in and save our babies, because we know they're the leaders in this. They're the number one. They're the number one people that are putting our children through this type of lifestyle. So we gotta hold the people in our Black communities accountable for our Black babies. We have to raise these children as if every little Black girl, every little Black boy belongs to you personally.
Absolutely.
That is the only way we're going to subside some of this.
What do parents who have, as you see, we have children. What do parents do that have children? What on the parental side? You understand? Some parents, some of us are homeschooling, but some are sending their children to school, public school, where the children have to catch the bus and I understand, wait at the bus stop for the bus to show up. But if these things, as you're saying, these people are taught to blend in and to get the children to have a normalized behavior, What do the parents do?
Again, the number one thing that I can tell everyone is you have to have conversation. Have the open door policy with not just your children, but neighborhood children. I raised 3 boys and a girl, and my house was the hangout house, not because they can come here and do what they wanted, but they knew that they had an open door policy. They knew that they can have any type of conversation with me, whether I was uncomfortable or not. With those conversations was not the thing. Just reassuring them that if they did want to speak to me about anything, that they were free to do so. A lot of us do not have that with our children. You know, we kind of leave them out there and let them, it's like a free-for-all. They learning as they go instead of us being their teachers. And that's not how I was raised. I'm from the south side of Chicago. And I tell people all the time, where I come from, the whole block was like one big family. I couldn't go anywhere and see someone from the block that wouldn't ask me, why am I off the block and what am I doing? Again, accountability for not just your children, but all children in your community.
Let me ask you this question, and anybody can answer this. And this is even a personal experience. Walking in Walmart, you know, here's our daughter, and we see a person. They don't look at me. They don't look at my wife. They look directly at our daughter and give this very uneasy smile, to where I literally had to mean mug the guy and give him this look like, look, you know, I dare you. try. And
well, you know why that happened?
What's that?
You know why that may have happened? Because we have gotten to a point where people don't believe that our Black men are going to be our protectors. They are not expecting our Black men to step up.
Right.
Wow.
You know, if I can go back for a minute, because that is absolutely right, and we can have a whole discussion. We can have a whole nother kind of discussion about that. But
no attack on you, brother. No attack on you personally.
Absolutely. But when it comes to what you just said, an actual predator would not behave in that manner. And this is something that I often get my patients and my clients to understand, is the actions and the motives around predators and how they think. Because the first, there are 4 key things that predators do. And just as my sister said before, to combat all of these, the parents have to get involved. One of the major things is that, and first understand that it is not all of a sudden. They do not one day just approach your child. It's called grooming for a reason.
Absolutely.
You don't just wake up and fall into your clothes, your hair, and your makeup.
Can you break down the grooming?
It's a process, okay? So you wake up, you take your bath, you put your clothes on, you decide what you're going to wear, you know, so forth and so on. So when it comes to grooming, a predator will identify. They're looking. They have no one in particular. They know what they're looking for, but no one in particular. So they look to find the person or persons that match what they are looking for. So what they're looking for is access. They're looking for the easy person that they can separate, that they can isolate from whomever, from their family, from that after school activity.
Like a hyena.
That they can get away and spend that time away from whatever that particular activity is, because you have to have the access to be able, and the contact to be able to do those nefarious things. And then once you do that, then you have to start developing trust. And the sick way they do that, of course, is by keeping secrets. So you start having conversations. And and you might even start buying them things, buying them candy. And of course, you're watching them. You may even see at parks or places that you see children, places that you go. A predator may observe a parent not buying a child ice cream or not buying a child candy. So he knows, okay.
That means they're watching the parents.
I'll be disappointed. And they'll say, okay, that's something I can use. So they'll in turn, if they have opportunity to isolate them, they'll buy them whatever that thing is, and they don't tell your mom, I did that for you. Mm-hmm. So that's the segue. That's an introduction into them. You now teaching that child to keep secrets. Right. And then it grows from there.
Absolutely.
So then you start having conversations about, they may start telling you things. The child may start telling them things, and it opens up the doors about things that's happening.
That trust.
Happening at school. Exactly. And it's false trust. It's a false sense of trust when it's it's secret keeping.
Right. With that secret keeping part, let me ask you this. Does it make sense then that a parent should try to teach their children to be 100% transparent with them? In other words, always feel comfortable to tell me whatever you need to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't bite your tongue. Don't think I'm gonna get this in this matter. When you gotta tell me something, Baba's not gonna get upset. I'm not gonna get angry because you're not being disrespectful. You're not being bad. Not being mischievous. Break bread. Lay it out. Let me have it.
Well, I'm sorry, sis.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, I was going to agree. However, be honest with your children.
Yes.
Like I'll share. I had an incident with my daughter, my oldest daughter. And I will tell her, because my daughter knows me. My daughter is not going to believe me if I tell her, well, you can tell me this and I'm not going to get upset with you. She's not going to buy that. Okay. She knows that there are certain things that if she tells me, that I will feel a certain way about it. However, what she also knows is that I am not going to like it. I'm honest about that. But I am in no way going to push her away or make her feel as though there is not a space where we can't handle it, or there's ever a space where she cannot feel comfortable coming to me, where we can grow and learn and deal with it in any way possible.
See, okay, I'm gonna break some bread too here, I guess. One of the things that's my main concern is, like, for example, right now, our children aren't able to communicate effectively. You understand? To where they can speak their mind. If their thumb hurts, they can't say, ow, my thumb hurts. You understand? Why am I saying that? Because I want to be able to, for our children to be able to reach a certain state to where if I ask them that if there's something wrong, you understand, they could tell me what it is and where, and even if they could tell me what caused it or whom caused it. You understand? I want them to be able to articulate that, because for me right now, this is my concern with even permitting babysitting to be involved, because especially when it comes to my little girl, because she's not, if she's not able to speak of something of an issue, a child, they come home, they're playing, they're doing whatever, they might not even be thinking about it at that time anymore. You understand? So by the time you realize something, it's already too late. She can't explain it. Let's say she goes. I've seen baby cams at babysitters where they're doing stuff. You understand? On the news, and the child, usually is not capable of saying what's happening. If you come and say, "Oh, how was your time? How were things?" and they go and grab some toys or something, they're not able to say, "Oh, this is, she did this to me, or he did that to me," or you understand how they're able to say it clearly, like boom.
Well, even though children cannot vocally say that they have been victimized, there is always going to be signs that you need to look out for. Is your child interacting with you the same way that he or she normally does? Is he or she doing the same activities, participating in maybe school functions? But if they're younger, Are they crying a lot more? Are they, when you leave them with a child can tell you when they do not like a person. That's being a mom, I cannot express that.
Exactly.
Pay attention to your children, because if that child does not trust that, their intuitions are greater than ours. If you leave that baby or that person that is, their spirit isn't right, their behavior isn't right, pay attention to your child's body language. If they cannot verbally say these things, there is a lot of things parents need to be in tune with their own children in order to see those symptoms when they cannot vocally say so. If they are capable of vocally saying so, you have to, again, I cannot stress this enough, you have to provide that space for them to do so. My children, they have and my babies are all above 18. My oldest is 26. And sometimes the conversations, they make me uncomfortable, but I let them, like Sister said, I let them know that it's uncomfortable for me, but it's free for them to have those conversations with me. Not only that, my daughter, she has several friends whose parents are no longer physically here with us, and they will call me. So I'm not just providing that space for my own children. I'm reaching out to those that maybe do not have a mom and can go to that mom and have that conversation. So again, it's the accountability of the adults in our communities to, fight this. We cannot, one set of parents cannot do this. We have to do this as a collective.
Right. I agree with that. Sister, go ahead.
Well, I was to add to what you were saying, because there are, in recognizing the signs, we also have to look at how we parent our children.
Yes.
And we have to get away from what we have been taught how to parent our children, be it from what our parents taught us, what right or wrong, even though now as adults we know isn't right, whether it's religion based or whatever. And I say that to say this. My daughter, my youngest, is 3 years old. I know when I was 3 years old and being raised in the home that I was raised in, which was a very strict Christian home, if I would have said the word vagina at 3 years old,
right.
I don't even have to finish that sentence. However, when you think of it now, exactly, my 3-year-old knows what her vagina is. She knows who is supposed to touch it, who is not supposed to touch it, and what it's used for. Okay, so as much as a 3-year-old can. Okay, let's be clear about that, because you also teach children according to their age and their understanding. So she understands that no stranger is supposed to touch that. Okay, so, and she can clearly say the word, because what happens is when you get children in these situations, and unfortunately, if something happens to the child and they are interviewed by social services or some agency, or they are in a courtroom, then evidence gets muddled or gets thrown out, because the other party can say, well, the child said that they touched that. Well, what is that? We don't know what that is. Well, my baby is going to tell you, he touched my vagina. Okay, and that's going to be it. So you have to get away from that thinking and understand that it's about protection. And then going back to grooming behavior, predators expect you to not have that conversation, because their biggest thing is to desensitize a child to the topic and the discussion of sex. They will show your child pornography. They will talk to your child about pornography. And from there, it'll turn into a tickle here. That's
part of the grooming.
Wrestling. And you think they're playing, and they're filling up your baby. That is grooming behavior.
See, we have a policy. I was just going to say, for me, I think a solution is like this. My belief, my traditional values is that, you know, men don't touch our daughter.
Absolutely, and that's what I mean.
I don't care if they're a doctor,
Right.
if they're a nurse. Even myself, I've changed my daughter's diaper one time, and for symbolic reasons. That's when she was born. You understand? And from then on, I said, from this day, no man will touch this girl except her husband. Inshallah. You understand? No man will touch this girl except the person she marries. So, and I make that a point, because now with that, on that pretext, if a man touches her, you understand, it will be a clear distinction, because a man is obviously different from mama. You understand? A man is obviously different from mama. Mama didn't do it, so who did? You understand?
Right.
That,
Right.
no, man, woman. There's a clear, in our family, there's a clear distinction between a male and a female. We're not confused in that regard. I understand society today is really trying to, you know, put that out there like that. But those who know, they understand. Those who understand.
That's true, but it's not just that. You know, predators also, they study the parents too, to see which parent is the weaker parent. They want to know which parent they can manipulate better to get towards, whether it be a child or teenager. It's not just the child that's getting groomed. Sometimes the parents are getting prepped too. Fake friendships.
How do the parents get
overly nice neighbors?
Again,
You know, overly nice neighbors. You know, acts of kindness. Oh, let me help you out. You seem stressed. Or, you know, I've seen it happen, you know, a couple of times. Initially, I didn't know what I was looking at, but over time, I noticed that this individual would just be she just was obsessed with this particular family. Always want to help with this, always want to help with that. And then, you know, your instincts don't lie. When you start to look into things, that's when you find out who people are. And sure enough, you know, I didn't find out immediately, no. But some years down the road, the story started to come out about her predator behavior, you know, and that's what I mean. Sometimes, and it was the same thing. They always got close to the parents, offered to help, let's go hang out, anything to be in the presence of that family as a whole, not just the individual adult.
Sister Achoti, are you? I know you're there, but can you hear us? Are you with us? I want to ask you a question. The question is this: you know, given the nature that the society is today, and the things that are really being put out there in media, you name on so many different avenues, when it comes to the content that our children are able to witness and observe, you know, that can entice them, invite them, you know, program them without it being an actual person there. You know, just the stuff we see that they're able to see if, you know, the parenting element might not be, you know, watchful or mindful of that. In this type of environment, what can a family do, a parent or parents do, that would help keep, you know, that will keep the parents mindful of the dangers that the children are able to see? You understand? I'm saying this in the sense of we've heard conversations about grooming, but I'm noticing that some of the very features of grooming are in your cartoons, are in your different types of child-related programming. How do we combat this?
So what Sister Letticy and Dr. Caresse has already said is that it's up to the parents to be mindful of their child's emotions and behaviors.
Yes.
And when we neglect to spend that time in talking with our children, then they're being neglected in this field. They're being neglected, and they're going to be subject to someone else filling that space where we as parents, as mothers, are supposed to fill that space. And so I've been listening to the conversation. And so everything that the sisters have brought up is very, very extremely valid. It's up to the parents. And I had wrote down, like, we're speaking about Sister Chrystul and her situation and being a victim of sex trafficking as a minor, a teenager at the age of 16, I believe you all said, where was the parent? Where was her mother? Did her mother teach her the value of her body? What led her to become victim to a sex trafficker? Because it's my understanding from what I read, this only what's in the media, is that she had been involved with this individual for some years before she decided to pull the trigger and get rid of him.
Yeah.
So during this time, what led her to be in a position where she felt like it was necessary for her to go to this stranger? Obviously, it was a stranger.
Yeah.
This stranger to find comfort, and then when she had enough, brought her to the emotional state where I got to get out of this, and the only way I can get out of this is to pull the trigger. So it goes back to the initial parenting, the initial mother state of how we are parenting our young women. Are we teaching them, just like the doctor said, are we teaching them what is their private parts and what is it for? Just like you said, who is supposed to be touching that at this time? Who can see it at this time of your young age? We need to get back to teaching our young daughters that sex is, and we need to use the word sex, intercourse, that it is restricted to the man that you want to marry. We have to get back to virginity. That's a word that is so lacking in our community. We don't speak on virginity. We don't speak on reserving ourselves as daughters of Zion for the man that you marry. We don't teach our young daughters that your body is your temple and it needs to be reserved, that your body is precious and no man should violate that if he is not willing to step up to the plate and marry you, and then you engage in that sexual act. Now, when we start as women that are raising your young children, young daughters, to respect their bodies.
Yes.
When we start to do that, then we can change the whole scenario. Your body is your temple, and no one should be allowed to violate that. So I do have a question for the Sisters of the Underground. It's not very much that's out there in what we call media to explain who is Sister Chrystal's mother. Where's her mother? Was she a child or a child that was raised in the system, i.e., social services, in a group home? Where's her mother? Where's her family? Is she really out here by herself? And I just want to ask the Sisters of the Underground, have they reached out to Sister Chrystal to get her story in this whole thing? Because I am very, very curious to know what is her background that led her to become a victim of such a grave violation on her body.
Right.
If anybody from the Sisters of Underground want to answer that question.
Your mic is on.
I'm sorry, I was muted. All of those are good questions, but a few things come to mind. First and foremost, we have to understand that all of this is in pre-trial phase, and it is very important
to
what we discuss and do not discuss in this case.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that she is given as much of a fair trial as she can have, because as you know, the first thing that is going to come up, as with all things, when people of color, when it comes up, especially the Black women, when it comes up in trial, they want to find fault in our background. They want to make it our fault some way. And then they're going to make it our mama's fault, our daddy's fault, our dog's fault, and everybody's fault, all because they're Black. So we will be very careful not to discuss anything involving the family out of privacy and also out of the utmost respect. because again, we understand just as from the beginning that Chrystul is the victim here.
Let me ask you this, okay? Since Sister Achoti mentioned about regarding the mother, but in those scenarios, you have where children are in the system. You understand? They're in foster homes. They're in child care centers and group homes, the like, right? And I know that many people in society may have this perception that these setups are on the ball with protecting the children, but you'll find that in many cases that's not so. And many children, find themselves in a loving parent is different than some people who are hired to watch you. You understand? It's not there's that connection that will cause you to be a certain way. It's not to say that people who are taking on the job don't have some type of empathy of the children that they're watching, okay? But it's not the same regard, that a parent might have for their own. You understand? So when some children run away, or don't come back on time, or they're being mischievous and they're just, what they call AWOL. You understand?
Well,
it puts them in a type of environment. What I'm saying is it puts them in an environment that makes them vulnerable and trusting to people that they think are cool. You understand? That they think are on their team because, these are what the friends have accepted. You understand? And then because they're with these friends and amongst the friends encourage them, promote them to, take on certain behaviors, tests, challenges, ego boosters. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, and then we have to get out of our minds that not only children with, tarnished backgrounds or single parent homes can be victims of sex trafficking. We have seen several children become victims of sex trafficking that comes from two-parent homes, $500,000 homes, or there is no carbon copy formula to look out for as far as who can be a victim of sex trafficking. The only thing that I can tell people is, again, to hold yourself accountable as being a parent. When you give birth to that child, or when you impregnate someone, those children are your responsibility, and you have to hold yourself accountable to prevent them from becoming victims. How do you do that? Again, having conversations with your children, being involved in their lives. We see sometimes parents with these careers, they do not have time to actually parent their children. They bring in nannies or things like that. There's nothing wrong with that if you are going to add to that by opening doors for your children to speak to you, or you are having that open door policy. Again, I cannot stress that enough, the importance of being able to communicate with your children, teach them right from wrong as far as who's able to touch them, like Sister said.
Yeah.
I really think we need to restore traditional values. This is my personal opinion. I just think that, when one of the things I experienced when I was in Djibouti, East African country, was the social network of the people. You understand? And how intertwined, where you mentioned nanny, right? Well, the whole concept of nanny is different there. I mean, literally a relative or even a person that, that might be taken into the family and employed in the same would be a nanny. And it's just that the way that the network, the social network there is it holds on to certain traditional values, where certain ones are involved with the children, unless it's the parents themselves. Certain ones are involved with the children and no one else. You understand? I'm saying here, in our efforts to restore a sense of community, a sense of unity. One of the things that I think would be very important to take in consideration is restoration of traditional values when it comes to parenting, when it comes to community, you understand, and just the parts that people play. I mean, I used to always hear, some of my elders talk about, both when we were your age, if you did something wrong, the store person will give you a whooping, the bus driver will give you a whooping, and then when you got home, you got another one. My point is that the fact that they had that type of association with one another is different than now, where everybody has this isolationist, individualist mentality. Am I making any sense?
I mean, well, I touched on it earlier when I said not only are the parents should have accountability.
This is a reminder.
I'm sorry, guys.
But how do we promote that? Is what I'm saying. How is this? It's understood. Like I said, these are things that it's clear that everyone on the panel is on in sync with it. But what will it take for our communities to see an urgency in this? As I mentioned, when you're looking at the reports, situations like Chrystal Kizar, what Chrystal Kizar Sister Chrystul is going through, is rising. It's not decreasing, it's increasing. You understand? That means more individuals, more people are involved with these sex trafficking rings, these different elements. It's increasing to the point where one person put it's marketable. It's becoming a popular market.
Sister Letticy, she said, I'm sorry if I pronounce your name wrong, sister, you can correct me, but you said it best, whereby you cannot let it be up to just the parent, because sometimes the mothers are not in a mental state to address these issues. She may be working, she may be strung out on drugs, she may have a number of issues. So it takes a village to raise a young woman. And when I say a village, I'm talking and speaking of the daughters that are now women of our nation, to reach out to any child that you see that may be doing things that are not virtuous, moving about that are not righteous. And it's up to us to speak on those things and pull that sister aside and just give her a word, because it does not cost any of us just to say a word to her, and that you never know, that word may change her life. Just for her to know that, hey, someone is seeing me and paying attention to me, and maybe I need to change my way. And once you make that contact with that child that you see has gone astray, you make it a point to get her information and make it a point where to meet her wherever she is, and not make her feel like, hey, because you're in this particular situation, you just lost and you just lost forever. Make her feel like she feels special. And that is our job as older women of the Daughters of Zion. That is our job, to raise up our younger daughters so that they can be strong queens in a society and be a woman found approved to get a strong king. And so when we are looking at our princesses and they're going through some things, we have to reach out to them no matter. I'm gonna give you an example. Just the other day, I was driving down the street and I saw this young black man. This is a brother. This is a young black king. And he was running through a construction site, and he was turning over all the cones that they put out to, say, hey, caution, don't go here, whatever. And he's just turning them over on purpose as he's running. And I can see the young, the white man, I guess the foreman, whatever, calling out to him. I couldn't hear what he was saying to him, but he was trying to tell him, stop doing that. And so I literally slowed my car down to just tell that brother, say, brother, knock it off. Knock it off. What you're doing can lead you to go to jail. So what I'm saying is it works the same way when we are dealing with our sisters, when we see them dressed in a promiscuous way, where they're inviting men to look at their bodies, when they're out there saying certain things that are not becoming of a young woman, that can lead them to be in a position where someone thinks it's free reign to go ahead and violate her in a way that she should not be violated. It's up to us to take the reins, take the position and say, hey, knock it off, sis. That is not the way you should supposed to be acting. That is not the way you should be behaving to show yourself approved as a daughter of the Most High. And I'm just going to go ahead and say that. Women are the future. They're the ones that are giving birth to our future. And so if we have a segment of our young women that do not recognize the value of their own self-body, do not recognize their own self-worth, then we're going to be led into destruction, and they're not going to give birth. They're going to fall victim to abortion, because now they're caught up in this world whereby they're having promiscuous sex and having children, or become impregnated by people they don't know, victim to self-trafficking, and becoming pregnant by people they don't really understand. All they know is they're caught up in this system of immorality. So we have to, as adult women who are on the righteous path, who know right from wrong, and are exercising the right way, to teach and impress upon our young daughters that, hey, knock it off. This behavior is not acceptable. It is not acceptable to your creator, because that's not what he created you to be. And so I say again, it does not cost us anything to give a kind word. And when I say kind word, that means correction. We should not be afraid to correct our people when we see that they're doing things wrong. And so we're speaking about our sister Chrystul. She has gotten caught up in a situation whereby she has done things wrong, and now she's facing trial to be judged by someone, the system that we all know that's not working in our favor at all. And so I respect what the doctor said about her history and everything, but the point is, our daughters would not be in these positions to be victimized with sex trafficking and sexual abuse if we as older women has taught them how to go the way of righteousness, how to be virtuous, how to respect their bodies, and let them know that sex is not a sport.
Right.
And so I'll leave you all with this. I say again, it does not cost us anything as women that know the way of righteousness and virtuality, to tell our young daughters that, hey, let's get it together, knock it off, and then tell them what is the right way to do, how to respect your body, how to hold yourself in reserve for that one man that would love you and love you unconditionally, because you are the salt of the earth. You are the queen. You are the one that's going to be bringing in our young queens and kings for the future. And I yield the mic, my brother. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
That was powerful. I want to say, one of the things that I try to emphasize when I have discussions with some of the groups that I talk with is the importance of, when as a father, you understand, of kind of getting the understanding of what is sacred, you understand, in the person. And, when it comes to the importance of marriage, emphasizing the importance of marriage, emphasizing what a righteous husband would look for in a righteous wife, what makes a righteous wife, what makes a righteous husband, you understand, why virginity is sacred. You understand? What makes being a virgin sacred, special, meaningful, valuable to a righteous husband, and vice versa. So that these become wanted characteristics. You understand? They become desired characteristics that the child will want to take on. You understand? A son would want to take on things that he would feel a virtuous woman would desire, would want, would appreciate. And likewise, a virtuous a daughter would want to take on certain characteristics and behaviors that a righteous husband would appreciate. Now, I mean, and I understand, many of us come from a generation where a lot of elements that, are that, how can I put it? Where certain elements in society promoted behavior that wasn't becoming of quote unquote spiritual, religious family structures. I want to ask this question, more pointed to the Chrystal Kizar matter. What specifically are we able to do that would be directly helpful to Sister Chrystal's situation? What is a direct thing that we could do actively as the viewers, supporters, and so on? What immediate things can we do in real time, in today's time, for her cause? And that's for anybody that has some input.
I think right now, just from a standpoint as a mother, I think some kind of way we have to find a way to just rebuild community around her. This young lady is traumatized, and yes, everybody put in for her to make bond, but what happens now? You know what I mean? What kind of healing can we give this young lady? We already know what the court case is doing, but moving forward, what can we do to really help this lady heal? That's a lot of trauma that's not going to be, dismantled for quite some time. That's the real issue right there. How do you get her to heal and just even be able to function from a day-to-day basis? This is extreme.
So, yes, indeed, because even, there's two elements to this. One, I'm looking at previous or similar cases and the outcomes that came out of that. Like I said, Sister Brown ended up serving 15 or something years. If the reports that I'm reading are correct, 15 years, and she got taken in custody at a young age. That's 15 years of a productive person's life that has been basically robbed from her, not because of anything she really did on her own initially, you understand, but something that was brought upon her. You understand? And here we have Chrystul, who's a similar situation in that there's something brought upon her that she didn't want. You understand? And now she's facing something that's really, I mean, it's really bringing about a messed up scenario. And so, what do people if a system fails in this aspect regarding? I mean, it seems to me. I mean, I know there's politicians, political minded people will say, well, we've got to vote a certain way or we've got to do a certain thing a certain way. But what do we do? You understand? If this is the type of outlook that this system is trying to present to us, where you can't defend yourself when somebody's causing these type of crimes upon you, what does a society do in that scenario? When you have this like it is, what does a society do? I mean, yeah, I understand family. There's certain things that a family does individual as a family structure itself. You understand? But we have already crossed that. We've already mentioned that. Look, you've got, you can't deal with the politicians because many of the politicians are involved. You can't deal with some of the so-called server and protector because some of them are involved. You understand? You can't even trust the teachers because some of them are involved. I mean,
I think, my brother, I think what we need to do is just to wrap our arms around this sister and let her know that she is loved.
Yeah.
Regardless of her past mistakes.
Yeah.
And to me, by her not taking a plea deal, because I'm quite sure the DA has offered her a plea deal. Mm-hmm. By her not taking a plea deal, she's standing her ground to let everyone know that, hey, I was a victim. And
support that.
I was a victim. And so what we can do as a community is wrap our loving arms around her and let her know that, hey, sis, we understand this is not your fault. This is not your fault. Like the sister said, we're not going to go into her background, but I guarantee you, there is something there that can lead to her defense regarding her background. And what I'm saying to you is that because our Black women has been victimized since over 500 years of rape, incest, just totally violated by the system, by the hands of our own people, by the hands of other people. She has a story. And so we have to let her know that her story is not unique. And we understand. And we have to show her that she is loved in this hour. Yes. She is loved. And there are sisters out here and brothers such as yourself that are willing to help her get her life back on track. Keep the faith. Stand your ground, which is what she's doing because she has not played out. She did not take a plea deal. She's going to trial. So that is a testimony just in that fact. And we have to support her in that motion. And once the Most High has cleared her from their so-called justice system, judgment system, we have to be there for her in the wash. But in the meantime, we need to stand in solidarity with her since she has got on bond, and we have to reach out to her and let her know that she is loved. We're not judging her, because that's a big thing in our community, that we tend to judge people, right? But we don't know their background. You understand what I'm saying? And I know that we all have different backgrounds. We all come from different backgrounds. But the thing is, I look at it like this. If a daughter of Zion fell victim to sex trafficking, is something that went wrong in the household. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to say that right there. For her to feel like she had to reach out to someone outside of the household. Wow. Whether and she may have been kidnapped. I don't know. We don't know the full story. Right. But in the end time, what we do know is that she had enough. Right. And enough is enough. And we have to let her know that we feel her in saying enough is enough. And I understand you, my sister. And we're standing with you 10 toes down, 100%. Strong, before and after the verdict. Yeah. And that is how we reach out to this sister and help this sister. So I give all praises to the Most High for the sisters of the underground, if they have actually reached out to this sister in supporting her and providing the emotional support that she needs, because that's what she needs right now, is emotional support. So let her know that, hey, daughter, you are special and you stand your ground against the system of oppression. You stand your ground against the one that oppressed you. You stand your ground no matter. That's what we do. We continue to support her in her trial moving forward. And then we still be there for and let her know that after the trial is over, we're going to still be there to help her pick up the pieces and to guide her into a righteous way of life.
Yes, indeed.
And with that, my brother, I yield the mic.
I want to say, yes, indeed. That's much respect, dear Sister Achoti. By the way, if you could put in there your contact information. I didn't have it with me, so I couldn't put it. I wanted to put it on the little thing down there at the bottom. But if you can't just put however, if people want to communicate or ask you questions, whatever the source is, put it there in the commentary.
I will do that, my brother, and for people that just listening, I will say that my email is achotispeaks@gmail.com, and it's also TLOJH sisterhood@gmail.com, and TLOJH stands for the Line of Judah Armed Forces. I am the Minister of Youth and Education with that organization, and we're on the rise. I host a Sunday meeting for the Daughters of Zion. That's our group within that organization every Sunday, where we have an offline Zoom call where we're discussing the things that affect women in this hour, our Daughters of Zion in this hour. So I reach out to anyone that says I want to be on that Zoom call, because right now, today, it is come to a point of time whereby the daughters, women, have to be the support system for our men that are on the front line.
Yes.
And we are the individuals that are actually nurturing our men, whether they want to believe it or not. We're nurturing our men, and we're also nurturing our children. And right now, our women, our young princesses are under attack. They're trying to do everything that they can to stop the women from producing more people of our color, of our nation. They want to do everything that they can to stop that from happening. And so what we need to do as women, that you grown women that are in this fight, is to reach out to our young women and show them the right way, so that they will not be another Chrystal Kizar, to have to fall victim to a sex predator. This has to stop. This has to stop now. And it's up to us to put out that message. So I will implore everyone that's listening and that's in the sound of my voice to contact me at achotispeaks@gmail.com, or at TLOJH sisterhood@gmail.com. Join the Zoom and be a part of how we come together to just to do exactly what you said, my brother. Help our sisters develop a protocol on to how they should be behaving in this hour. Because if we don't change the narrative, if we don't change our behavior, we are doomed for destruction. And we cannot afford to have another Chrystal Kizar that's facing judgment from these people. We can't afford it. We cannot afford it. And so, to round it all up, like I said before, reach out, and I pray that the Daughters of Zion will give us a way to actually contact Chrystul, to let her know that we love her, we support her in her mission in this trial, and we stand behind her, and we're not standing in judgment of her. Because I don't know if many of y'all seen the movie The Burning Bed with I can't remember that actress, but The Burning Bed, right? Where she went through several abuses from her husband, and she set that heathen on fire. She set him on fire because she had enough. And so that directly relates to what our sister Kizer, Chrystal Kizar, had went through. She had enough with the abuse. And I do understand abuse. And so if we can have that information where we can actually reach out to her as women and say, hey, sister, I stand behind you I support you. Don't take a plea deal. Go through the trial and let the Most High do His will, because He see you, daughter. He see you and what you went through and why you did what you did. And I stand behind the sister 100%, just based on the information that I seen online. Is not very much, but you know how the media put it out. But if the Daughters of Zion has been in contact with the sister, if they can give us a way to contact the sister to let her know that we stand 10 toes down in support of her in her trial, that would be much appreciated. I give all praise to the Most High. And once again, I yield the mic. Thank you, my brother.
Yes, indeed, dear sister. That's definitely appreciated, and a big solid salute to you as well. I want to say before I introduce Sister Ann onto the panel here, this is to all my brothers, your sons, your fathers, nephews, uncles, all you out there, men. You know, black men, we've got our job to do. And the thing I want to emphasize in that job, because we're supposed to be the protectors and front runners of society, right? Okay, well, this includes being aware. I always say it means that we have to be aware of what we're protecting, whom we're protecting. You understand? Sometimes, our egos make us overlook things that might be vital. You understand? That might be the key thing, a key sign of danger, or a key warning, red flags or whatever. You understand? So we need to be mindful of, especially those who are the most sensitive elements of our family. That's our daughters. That's our mothers. That's our women folk that we're supposed to be protecting. How are we going to be protecting them if we don't know the threats that are the potential threats that they're capable of facing in society? So that means we need to upgrade our observation skills, upgrade our regard. You understand? We need to upgrade the whole sense of what it means to protect our loved ones, our family. So that way we're on point. So that way we can deal with these matters before it even becomes an issue. You understand? Before ones like Chrystal have to resort to the measures they've done. You understand? Before any of this could even happen, we have to already be on the ball, of this. That's protecting. That's protecting. I'm just saying. To the brothers.
If I may. Well, tonight we have been focusing the conversation geared towards just our young girls and women. I want to say that not only are our young girls and women victims of sex trafficking, our boys and our men are victims as well. We don't want to leave them out of this conversation. So we have to include them, although they are the front lines of our communities. They too can be victims. There are several things that we have discussed tonight, and several questions have been asked. The number one thing that I keep repeating the same thing over and over, is accountability. You brought up the justice system. We brought up, the judges and this and that. We, the Black community, we have proven that we can thrive without going to them, looking for them to be our saviors. We have to get back to that mindset. Yes. Again, we cannot push forward in this fight without holding ourselves accountable. Stop blaming them for what's going on in our community and blame ourselves. Why do they feel that it's comfortable for them to come in our community and victimize our children, our women, and our men? Because we allow them to.
Deterrence. We need deterrence. That's what I was trying to speak to. That's why I wanted any brothers that listen to this. We need to manifest deterrence, things that make these people shake in their mind to come out like that. You understand what I'm saying? Any type of society is protected from. When you have a community, what makes a community thrive is when people are able to operate on a certain values, laws, principles, orders, instructions. You understand? And knowing that there's checks and balances when people step, in a way that they shouldn't. That's what law is supposed to be about. You understand? Those checks and balances. If you do this, there's consequences. If you do this, there's benefits, whatever. Okay? There, criminals, in this case, sex trafficking criminals, are getting these things off because they're not afraid of it. They don't have any fear. They see a system that's voting things in their favor. They see a justice system that's patting them on the back when they, with a few years or a few months when they commit a crime. Obviously, the ball of the people that need to be to respond to this properly is not in that court. It's right here in the community. You understand? Amongst our own people. We have to start, we want to bring some of all these other methods of boots on the ground tactics. This is, to me, the most important boots on the ground tactic that needs to be paid attention to, if ever there was. Okay? There has to be measures taking place that makes these people know that, if you go out this way, there will be consequences. If you embark on what you're trying to do with these young girls and boys, there will be consequences. So beware, watch out. It's more than just having some sign that says community, what do they call that, block watch or whatever. There needs to be effective things that happen within the community that the people know. You run in this neighborhood with that mess, this is what you're facing. This is what you're looking at. Sister Ann, let me do this real quick. Peace and blessings, Sister Ann. Welcome. It's good to have you on. I didn't know that. I was surprised, but it's good to have you on. I'm not sure how much of the conversation you were able to get in, but what do you? What can you offer us?
Well, it is good to be here, brother. Unfortunately, I know all too well about being violated as a child. And I want to applaud our sister for teaching her babies at an early age because of what I went through as a child. As soon as I knew that my son could understand me, I taught him the difference between good touch, bad touch, who can touch you, who can't touch you, what to do if you are touched. I went to the extreme of letting him know if we're at the doctor's office and mom is in the doctor's office with you and the doctor touches you here, it's okay. She's doing her job. Right. She's checking to make sure that you are okay. But even if we are at the doctor's office, say mom steps out to use the restroom and the doctor wants to touch you there and mom's not in with you, don't allow the doctor to touch you. And I thank the Most High, he's 22 years old now. And because we had conversations early on the level appropriate for his age, my son knew, if somebody tries to do something to you, you run, you scream, you yell, and you tell the first adult you see, especially if they're wearing a uniform. And if you can't get any help, you get to mom as quickly as possible and let mom know, and mom will handle it.
Yes.
So as mothers, we're our children's front line of defense. For dads, for uncles, for brothers who are watching this, you have to also be the next line of defense for our children. You have to know what to look for in someone who could potentially be a predator to any child. And I want to commend you, brother, for, being able to see that uneasy look at your daughter in the store by the gentleman. How are you going to overlook the parents and eyeballing the child? There's something sinister going on in your mind. And we have to be able to recognize that. We have to know that we can't let our children spend the night with everybody. and sometimes even family members, you can't allow them to spend the night with. It is not just our son. It's not just our daughters. Our sons can be touched as well. So, you have to be open minded and mindful if a child comes to you and they want to talk, they want to have a conversation with you about the way somebody touched them. Sometimes people can look at a child in a certain way, and that child catching that look perceives it to be harm in the eyes of the person who's looking at them. Listen to that baby. Listen to that child, because sometimes children see things that we don't see. Sometimes they can sense things that we can't sense.
Yes.
We get busy and boggled down with bills and other havoc things that take place in our life. We're trying to meet a deadline. We're trying to help somebody over here. We're trying to help somebody over there, but we can't forget to help our own.
Yeah.
We can't forget to help our own. And we have to let children know that we are a safe place, and we have to genuinely be that safe place. Know the people who dwell among us.
Mm-hmm. I also
Know the
think
people,
that,
know the behavior, know the attitude, know what they're capable of.
Yes, ma'am. If I may add to the end of this conversation, we also have to stop victimizing our own victims in the community. It does not matter what your background was. It does not matter if have certain things in your past. No one has the right to touch you regardless of any of those things.
Absolutely.
So for us to say, well, maybe she did this in her past, maybe this caused that, it does not matter. That's her story. And you do not have the right to belittle her, diminish her trauma because of those things. No one has the right to say, well, because this is on her background, or whatever the case may be, that maybe she caused this to happen some sort of way, or not just her. We have seen this happen to several women where they become victims all over again just because they had a tarnished childhood. All of those things lead to this. They are probably going into sex trafficking, becoming prostitutes, whatever.
right.
But they are doing that to conceal some sort of trauma. That's the bottom line. And for anyone to lay the blame game on them, I do not agree with that. That is not what my organization stands for. We are here to give a voice to the voiceless.
Right.
We are not here to play the blame game on victims. I just wanted to add that.
That's definitely strong and powerful. I want to simply say this in this flow here. We one of the things that I think a mistake that us parents might make sometimes is assumptions regarding our children. We have to recognize the innocence of our children's minds, right? In that, for example, they're used to coming to us for food and treats and this and that. So they see food from somebody, they think, oh, let me go get. There's food there. They're not thinking that, hey, this is a stranger. I don't know this person, and so we have to recognize these elements in our children and realize that, look, we've got to make sure our protections are covering these type of behaviors. So the other thing is as you mentioned, when you're comparing, when we think of a child versus a full-grown adult who's capable of manipulating, who knows game, who knows schemes, things like that, versus a child, you can't blame the child in their era in youth for the outcome that they experience. That's they're a child. That's the difference between an adult and a youth. The adult's supposed to be mature, supposed to be have the right type of knowledge to understand what to look out for. You understand? Not the child. The child is trial and error. You understand? They're going to touch the stove. They're going to touch the dog or pet the dog or whatever. You understand? They're going to go through all these different things because they don't know. They may not recognize the immediate danger until after the effect. In these cases, regardless, none of that justifies a crime happening to a victim. You understand? Regardless of whatever mistake, whoever they were hanging out with, whatever they done got themselves caught up with, it doesn't make well. Now that you're in my lair, now it's okay for me to commit to this crime because you don't allow me to drape you off. Now it's okay now for my crime. No, not at all. Don't ever, when the person commits a crime, regardless of how the victim got there, you don't ever side with the criminal. You side with the victim, period. You understand? Period. It's the victim. Look.
Okay. And also, Brother Questman, what I am asking for everyone to realize is once an individual becomes a victim, especially as a child, all victims need counseling, but especially children. And if they never receive that counseling, at some point in their lives, it's going to come back.
Yeah.
Even if they deal with it, pushed to the back of their minds, and they go about their lives as if it didn't happen. At some point, it's going to resurface.
Look, real quick. I just want to say
so she's going to need to be set. We need her set free for all reasons.
Do. Look,
especially so she can get that mental health counseling.
Sister Achoti made it very, very crystal. They need, when she gets through this, through this, and even after she comes out, she needs to have the sense of comfort from her sisters, from her family, those her supporters. I'm saying this because I'm aware of, even when we go out in public, when my children see a stranger or somebody, they immediately cling to my garb. You understand? Because they don't know who this person is. They don't know what's up. It's a stranger. That's all they know. This is a stranger. Let's go to Baba. You understand? Baba, protect us. That's basically what they're saying when I'm looking at my son. He's sitting there clinging to me like a what do you call it? Like a leech or something. I'm like, what are you doing? He's seeking protection. They need to see that we love them. They need to feel and experience that. Look, I'm on your team. I'm here for you. I got you. You understand? I got you. So that way, whatever happens, they know exactly. Run to Baba, like the sister said, run to Mama and break and let it out. Whether we like it or not, all ears. Tell me. Don't ever feel afraid of whatever you got to say. You understand? I'm saying this because I know, like, I've seen like where I had a sister who was ashamed to express to Mom that she was on her term. You understand? There was something so shameful. She didn't want to share it, but she was insistent to go ahead, say this. And then they broke down what this is about. All the comfort zone is what I'm talking about. You understand? Let your children feel comfortable enough to open up, you understand, and explain themselves the best way they know how, you understand, because they know that here they feel loved. They don't feel like that you're going to shame them or ridicule them for their experiences, for their attempt to understand, for their attempt to seek guidance, for their attempt to seek protection. You understand? We have to have those type of doors open no matter. I don't care how big our egos are, brothers, because sometimes our egos are so big where we don't like to entertain certain conversations. Tough. Take it. Take the conversation. Listen to your daughter. Listen to your son. You understand? You might hear something that only a father can understand in what they say. See, we got different, the mother has a type of radar, the father has a type of radar. You understand? There's certain things, certain sounds, certain emotions that a mother will hear and know that, wait a minute, my child is going through something. There's certain sounds, there's certain things a father will hear to know that there's something that he needs to make sure he's paying attention to. So don't let these become ego battles or things where we're too good or too proud to hear the innocence and the inexperience of our children. pay attention to that in experience because they're saying something. That's all, you know. So,
and there's something else I want to put out here too.
Yes.
Never think that your child is too young to start talking to them. Just know or do your research on how to broach subjects with them so that they will know if somebody's doing something they shouldn't be doing. For me as a child, one of the incidents that I can remember was I would be sent away with this person to go to the store or something like that. And they would buy me something just for me and take the long way home and tell me I had to eat it before we made it back.
Yeah.
You know, and things begin to happen. And when I tried to talk to someone, no one believed me. So when your children try to talk to you, listen to them.
Yes.
And know that if you haven't explained things in detail like that to your child, it's not something they're making up. Children don't just come up out of the blue and start making up stories like this. Right. Even if you've had that conversation with them, they're not going to make up a story like that. If they start saying things and you like, pay attention.
Yeah.
Because at first they may not tell you exactly who did what. They may point at somebody that they don't feel like would harm them if they use their name, or somebody that they didn't think you would harm if they use their name. Get the facts together and make sure that when you talk to when that child talks to you and begins to open up, you let them know that they can tell you anything. You may get upset, but you cannot get upset with the child. And you may even have to curdle your anger so that the child won't see it. Because there are predators out here that make children feel like, I love you.
Yeah. They might misinterpret your anger as being directed towards them. When you,
exactly.
You're hearing it, and it's, you know, it's inflaming you to have this knowledge, but you have to.
And they'll clam up and they won't finish telling you what it is that you need to know in order to protect them.
Yes.
But they can also have a bond with that predator to the point that they don't want mom or dad to harm that person. And if you can't curdle your anger so that the child can't see it to that degree, then they may clam up and not just open up and tell you what's going on.
That's why I say the better equipped they are with knowledge, with straightforwardness, you understand? You know, facts, truth, you know, I think the better equipped they are with these tools, the better they're able to communicate, you know, what's on their mind. You know,
and you start off with the good touch, bad touch conversation. Yeah. That's always a good place to start. Good touch, bad touch. Who can touch, who shouldn't touch.
People, we need to realize that, you know, this situation like what Sister Chrystal Kizar and the likes of her are going through, this is not an illusion. This isn't fiction. This isn't a movie. You understand? These are things that are really happening in real time, even as we speak in society. When you can have in the state of Ohio, the largest sex trafficking bust, 210 people in the state. They said, quote unquote, that's the largest ever in the history of Ohio. And when most of the people that are involved are people of status, you understand? Not just regular ground level folks, but people of status. We got to wake up and pay attention to this stuff. You understand? Stop letting these things go under our nose like it's irrelevant, like it does, or it's not happening to someone I know, or it's not, you know, affecting me, or it doesn't have it. No, any child it has something to do with you, even if you're not related to the child. Any adult, if it's happening to an adult, it's something to do with you. Get these veils off of our eyes, man. You understand? Get these illusions. Get out of this fantasy idea of what the world is about. These are the things that's causing us, hindering our unity efforts, that are hindering our ability to stand up when we need to stand up, because we live in this fictitious mentality. So that when things are happening right in front of our face, we don't even know how to properly respond. And we become afraid of things that aren't, we become afraid of spooks and things that aren't even out there to be afraid of. Stand up.
And be okay asking children if they're okay.
Yeah.
Be okay asking them if they are okay. Because a lot of the times you can look at a child who's being abused and you can see that something's wrong. You may not know what it is, but you can see that something's wrong. Build a bond with that child where that child feels comfortable enough to be able to talk to you and say, hey, this is happening to me.
Isn't that Harvey Weinstein? He's the guy? Is he the? I know he's done some of the sex trafficking thing also, but they're finding that he's tied to so many organizations and people. You understand? It's like every time I hear about this guy, there's more people that, you know, like miscellaneous and upper class people that are involved, and it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. I mean, this is really it's like an industry. You understand what I'm saying? It's like a whole what do I want to say? Like just an industry. That's the only word I can think of. A business. I mean, it's just, man. And it's really happening. It's not. This isn't, like I said, this isn't fiction, folks. This is stuff that's really going on. But it can stop and it can end right here at home. Right here at home. Right here in your neighborhoods.
Can we back up just a bit? So we covered, you know, I feel as though we somehow got off track with describing exactly what sex trafficking is. Yes, we know that molestation is absolutely a part of trafficking. Yes. We somehow have gotten away from the fact that he was not the only one that victimized this young lady. Yes. She was a victim of sex trafficking, meaning that not only he molested her, but he also used her to be, he allowed others to molest her as well.
They were marketing her, right?
They were marketing her. They sold her. They had her a victim of multiple people, which is, I shouldn't use the term greater trauma, but we're focused on just one act of him. Well, not maybe. We're focused on the fact that he molested her. But again, he allowed this grown man, not only did he molest her, he allowed others to molest her for monetary compensation. That's what we have to discuss. You know, she's already traumatized. She's already been a victim. And then now she has to hear that she is less than for a certain amount of money. So we talked about her young childhood being taken away from her by being a victim of molestation. But we have to remember multiple times this young lady was violated by more than one person. So I don't want to lose the focus on Chrystul. We kind of got off track a little bit because there are so many levels to this trafficking thing. I have been doing this for well over 20 years, and you know, everyone wants me to give them a formula of what to look out for. Everyone wants me to give them some sort of know-how to fight this. And the truth is, there is no one way to fight this. There is no one thing to look out for. The only thing that we can do is, again, accountability. If you are a parent and you're not having conversations with your children about people touching them, or, being able to have private conversations with other people, those conversations do not need to be had with someone other than the parent. And if the parent is not available to have that conversation, we need more adults, responsible, capable adults, to have these conversations. We have to vet these individuals out. We cannot just throw our children out there and expect someone has good intentions when they are trying to be in children's lives. We have to look at everyone. Unfortunately, that's just the reality. It breaks my heart seeing so many of our young girls out there. Well, I'm sorry, we keep saying young girls, but I have come across young men that have not had the life, and, they've had their childhood taken from them. And then these traumas go back as far as birth. We know that children can somehow take on the trauma of their parent in the womb of their mom. So we keep focusing on this background, that background, but we got to look at the parents' background as well. Were the parents victims? What was the parents' trauma? All of that plays a role in all of this. There's so many levels to this. It's ridiculous. It's always going to be something new that these predators latch onto to gain access to your children. Right now, the biggest threat against your children is online gaming. One of the biggest platforms that people have their children playing on is a gaming system by the name of Roblox. In the last 2 months, I have had 10 children become victims of trafficking by people gaining access to these children on that one platform alone. We know that there's many, but that one platform alone, 10 children that I have worked with were victims. I'm just one advocate in this. There's thousands of us out there trying to fight this fight. So if I came across 10 in the last couple of months, how many out there that I don't know about? So again, we have to stop trying to find one level of this. We have to stop trying to play the pointing the finger at individual. What are you doing? How did you allow somebody in your community to become a victim of this? Look at yourself. Ask yourself these questions.
Yes, indeed. Because these are everyday things you mentioned, like games. Every child, we're all playing. Many of us are gamers. You know what I mean? Online gamers, and these are things that I can see how they're easily overlooked. When mom's cooking or mom's working or father's doing this, and the children are playing their games, and just regular stuff that you don't even think about. You know what I mean? Everyday things you don't think about really scrutinizing the way that it should be. Because if you mentioned the Roblox games, oh man, I understand how spamming works, so I could just imagine someone using that same.
Let me just explain how they are gaining access to your children on that platform. They're going online, they're creating fake profiles, and they are pretending sometimes to be the same age as your children. Now, your children is at home. They are not getting the attention from their parents or family. So they are venting to people who they feel are the same age as them. Yeah. Those people are allowing that space for conversation with them to be had, and they prey on that. They prey on their vulnerability and their weakness, and that is how they're gaining access to your children. So again, we have said this 1,000 times tonight. Have conversations with your children. Let them be able to have uncomfortable conversations with you. There is absolutely no reason for your child to be able to converse with someone other than you about things going on in their lives. Are your children depressed? You know, what's going on with them? If they're able to have that conversation with with a stranger and not you, then that's a problem. That's an issue. And until you address that, it's going to remain an issue.
And to put that in another way of looking at that, because I can see how something like those avenues could cause even bigger problems for a family structure. I mean, when you think of, like, people manipulating the children for financial reasons or for, the access, family information, or, you understand, just using the children, manipulating the children for whatever aims that they want. Because they know that, the children's level of understanding might not be, equipped to recognize their gimmicks. Does that make sense? So, family, we want to, at the bottom line here out of this particular live revolves around specifically, like you see the hashtag there, Free Chrystal Kizar. We want that whatever efforts we can take out of this particular live conversation to be something that increases the awareness of her circumstances and those like her, and to realize the magnitude, just like the sisters have already expressed, of what, all the elements at play. Understand that it's not just one, a criminal involved, that there are multiple criminals involved. And as we know, it's a network of criminal elements involved. A clear wake-up call, if you ask me, because that's what I feel right now, clear wake-up call, but also an alarm that we need to pay attention. I would like to be able to, round this up a bit. I feel like there's so much more that needs to be emphasized or said or brought to light in this. Like I said, I just feel like it needs to be really driven in the ground. But I understand we have time constraints. We have things like that. The sisters have things they probably need to do. But let's do this. We'll go around, and each person could put, a minute, a minute, a jab, so to speak, to this issue. And we'll start with the doctor.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Well, I just want to address the issue of trauma and what we need to prepare ourselves for as this case proceeds. I think that it is very important that we recognize and be very careful about what we say and how we respond to things as they unfold in this case. As African American women and as an organization who absolutely support Chrystal Kizar, I would encourage others to be careful that you not re-victimize her with your statements and with your actions, and that you be sensitive in the things that you say and do, and be mindful of the things that you may consider support in your eyes, but make sure that whatever you do, that is viewed through the lens of the family and through her as well. But even with that being said, again, as has been a part of this great organization, we have to acknowledge of what it's like being an African American woman and having your voice heard in society as this, when things like this happen. You are going to hear a lot of things about Chrystal and her family. You are going to hear a lot of disparaging remarks, which are all going to try to make her appear as a monster, to put it out there. And somehow it's been normalized for, be it the media or whatever, I could go down the line, for disparaging remarks to be made about Black women and it pretty much just goes one ear out of the other. And it becomes the norm. And then when it comes down to the case, it is going to be seen as though, well, we expected that of her. And because of that, or because of this, or whatever the circumstances, justice in some people's eyes mean that she should go to jail. Right. However, I want you to look at the systems that are in place, and I am not talking about the systems that have been brought up here as far as social services or, foster care, whatever those systems are. I do not know that about her. Whatever has happened about her in her past and her mother, I'm not even saying that that is a part of her past, because I would never speak on anything or judge anyone from a position of how they acted in response to their trauma. And then when people commit acts of survival in response to that trauma, like my sister said, that's their story to tell. But even with that, I will say this. Chrystul, let's keep in mind, Chrystul, looking at that picture back there, we need to keep in mind that Chrystul was, I believe she was 16 years old when this happened, 16, 17 years old when that happened. When this case goes to trial, she'll be in her 20s. We need to be careful and understand that the systems that are in play when it comes to the adultification of our kids, of our children, which is a totally different conversation that we just don't have time to get into right now. But in a nutshell, when it comes to looking at our young African-American young boys and young girls, how the system sees them as grown people and want to treat them as such, they want you to look at her and see a grown woman.
Yes.
And not a child.
Yes.
That was sex trafficked, that was abused, that was hurt, that was sold, that was passed around from person to person.
Yes,
and if you want to get real about it, this has been happening to African American women
for generations.
The beginning of time.
Absolutely, that was definitely my thought.
Even what their women did to us, if you want to be real about it. So I want people to keep that in mind as well. She was 16. She was a child. I just put it like that. She was a child when this happened. So when you look at that in the courtroom and you see a 20-something-year-old woman, that is not the same as the child. And that is called the adultification of our children. And you need to be mindful of that. You need to be mindful of the systems that are at play behind this, even with the things, because things are being prolonged for a reason. And I want people to be aware of that. Mm-hmm. I do. But again, I know we don't have time to talk about it, but there are just so many things at play. I want people to be mindful. I want people to stay alert. Mm-hmm. I want you to always be aware of what you're doing and what you're saying, and to always make sure that that is reflective of the support, again, being viewed through the lens of the true victim of this, not your cause, but the true victim in this, and that is Chrystul and her family.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, absolutely, sis. Well said. I think for me, I just feel strongly like every human and civil right she's had has been violated. How can you even come with a crime to charge her with? If she was 20, 21, 22 when this occurred, every human right she had still have been violated. So I just don't see how such a big slip in the law could have happened. I think that the law would have continued to let her be a victim again and again and again of the system. As Sis said, there are things at play. And I think because the story was found out and it was given so much voice, now they want to make sure they come at another angle. And that's really my concern. There's just, even in the photos, she is just totally dehumanized. She doesn't look like a woman who would have a life or had dreams, or a child who had dreams. Sometimes you can look in a person's eyes and feel like their soul is missing. And when I see that, I low key feel like that. Like the trauma in her eyes, you can feel in your soul when you look at her. Yes. And I think that right there is all the evidence you really need. I mean, how could you put cuffs on someone who wasn't even treated like they were human. They were treated like market. So that's the thing for me is I don't even feel like she is a criminal or ever will be. That's just my personal opinion. I am not representing anybody when I say that, so to speak. I just feel like her trauma led to extreme response. Imagine how many people walking around traumatized right now, and it shows up in their behaviors all the time, all day long. I'm glad that she chose to save herself. I wish healing for her, but I definitely just feel like from beginning to end, this young lady has been dehumanized totally.
Yes.
Right. If I may, just for a moment, before I forget and lose my thought, to piggyback on what my sister CashApp just said. So what is being argued right now that is going, I believe is going to the Wisconsin Supreme Court. I don't know if they've set a date yet, but in response to her being charged with a crime, there is something on the books in Wisconsin that is called an affirmative defense, which allows for crimes like this, when things like this happen, that they actually find cause for you to commit acts like this in defense of your life. And the district attorney in the case initially, he would not give Chrystul the right to provide that as a defense. He refused to turn over the videos, all of the evidence that they had seized from the perpetrator's home. He refused to provide that to Crystul's attorney. And so as a result, she was charged, of course, and then Crystul's attorneys were not able to use the affirmative defense as a defense for her, because that would have allowed her to essentially be cleared of everything. So in response to that, Crystul's attorneys filed an appeal for that. And they said, well, let's go back. So it went to the judge in the case. The judge, I believe it's Wilk, that is in the case. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing his name correctly. But he agreed on some parts with the district attorney that what she did would not fully stand to have her to be able to use the affirmative defense. So as a result, it went up to the Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals said, well, we don't agree. Well, now, again, the district attorney is appealing that decision as well. So that is going up to the Wisconsin Supreme Court. So you asked the question before, what could the people on the ground do?
Yes.
Call the court. Let them know your opinion about this. Blow up the phones, blow up the faxes, blow up these judges' social media. I believe that one of those judges is up for appointment or election, whatever you call it. I believe his term actually ends sometime this year or next year. And so there's something that you can do. I'm not, a resident of, Kenosha, Wisconsin. I'm still calling. I am still calling, and I will let them know my thoughts.
Damn right, sis. I know that's right.
And you need to do it as well. Yes. And again, I took the squeaky wheel is what gets noticed, not the quiet ones that keep rolling down the street. So those are things that you all can do. Call the Court of Appeals, call the Wisconsin Supreme Court, call the district attorney's office, the district attorney. You all elect him into office. Okay. So you guys need to make it known and keep it in the forefront, keep it in their face. My vote, is what put you here, and it's also what can put you out. I'm watching you. My head is on a swivel. I'm looking at everything you do in every direction. Yes. So that's what you can do in regards to this case, and know that you're advocating for the affirmative defense for Chrystal Kizar. So this young lady cannot be charged for this crime that they're accusing her of, because I don't believe a crime was committed, and I said it.
Okay, Sister Lacetti?
Yes, sir, and I'm not going to be long. I believe I kind of spoke extensively. I do want to say, as the national chairwoman, I should say, of Sisters of the Underground, we offer our full support behind this young sister. We have reached out to the family more than once to offer our support. We have not been able to gain contact with them, but we have done several other things. One that includes signing a petition on change.org. We have sent emails. We have, called the senators. We have called, people in that state that can possibly reverse these charges for our young sister. But the most important thing I want to say is directly to Chrystul. We love you as if you are one of our own children. Each of us have children. So we take this very personal. We know that she did not do this out of malice. We know that there was extenuating circumstances behind this. So we're just asking everyone to show her some support, show her some love, send her positive energy, whatever we just got to get behind this. We got to get more attention behind this. When we see people of other races out there and someone from their area, from their background, is facing something similar, or look at what happened with the Cal Rittenhouse, I believe that's his name, whatever his name is. Look at how his people band together in support of this young man. We need to offer that same level of support to people from our communities. So that is a public plea to every Black man, woman. We have to get behind this young sister and offer her some sort of support. So I encourage everyone to go to the website, sign that petition, as Sister says, send some emails, make some phone calls. If you live in that state, go stand outside. Let them know that, she is not alone in this. And I'm going to end because I drag things out, but I'm going to end it there. I do thank you for allowing us to come on to your platform once again, brother. This was a very important conversation that needed to be had. We need other people with platforms to utilize those platforms to bring attention to things like this. So I'm very gracious to you for having this conversation.
It's all respect. It's all respect. Sister Achoti, final words, closing words.
I echo the sentiments of my previous sisters that spoke on her. Yes, if Sister Chrystul is listening, we love you, my sister, and we stand 10 toes behind you. In this hour, we as daughters of Zion need to band together to let the oppressors know, the pedophiles know, the sex traffickers know that enough is enough. And we understand your position that you said enough is enough. And that's enough for me to say that, hey, I stand behind you, Chrystul, and I love you with the love of Yahuwah. And I put in the chat the change.org website where you can go in and sign that petition. I will be doing that tonight because it is very important that the powers that be know that she has a family. She has a family that loves her and supports her. And I just want to say all praises to you, my brother, for allowing the sisters to come on here and speak and give their voice of support to our sister that's going through something that numerous sisters are going through, but their name is not shined in the media. So to all my sisters out there that have been victims of sex trafficking, we love you and we stand behind you. Reach out to your sisters that know what is right, and so that you can overcome whatever it is that ails you. and you have support no matter. I give all praises to the Most High for this opportunity. And I thank each and every one of my sisters that's on this platform tonight that has brought insight to the case and letting us know as daughters of Zion how we should move. Doctor, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for saying, hey, certain things we should say, certain things we should not say. I give all praises to you, my sister. Keep on doing what you're doing in your efforts. And to the Sisters of the Underground, I applaud you because you have stepped up in this hour and you have made it known that our sisters and our young brothers that are going through some changes are loved and are represented by us sisters. Give all praise to the Most High. Sister Ann, I see you. I see you. And I've always seen you. All praises be to the Most High. And with that, I say, Shalom, my family. Thank you, my brother. Shalom.
Dear Sister Ann.
What I would like to say to our people is, when this case starts, don't see a young woman in the courtroom. See the young princess, the young girl that she remains to be, who has been violated. And it feels, because it has, her childhood has been stripped from her, and she has to deal with adult matters. She has been tormented and tortured mentally and physically. She has been passed around like a product. And think about what you would do if this was you or if it were your child. She did what she had to do to survive. Let your words and your actions flow accordingly. Don't do or say anything to further injure this child. If you can't render support, keep your mouths closed. Keep your fingers off the keyboard.
Yes, ma'am.
And allow this child to heal.
Yes, ma'am.
And for those who understand, put your support behind her. Do as those on the panel have requested. Make those phone calls, sign the petitions, send letters, send emails if you have to, if you're able
Show up to
to
her
these
court date.
politicians. If you're able to be there on the court date, be there. Demand that they treat young Princess Chrystal Kizar the same way they would one of their own. Because we already know that if her skin was not melanated, this never would have made it to a courtroom. It never would have made it to a courtroom, even with the recent shooting that they had this week. Not even the name of that child has been released. But Chrystal Kizar, she was bound over as an adult and she was charged as an adult when she was a child defending and protecting herself. She committed no crime.
Yes, indeed, dear family, dear sisters. First of all, I got the email right this time, right? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, I want to make sure I have that there. So you viewers, you see the email is there. That's the correct email to respond or to present your concerns, your comments, questions, or whatnot to Sisters of the Underground. And also, you also see earlier, you'll see, I'll put it again, Sister Achoti's contact. Sister Ann, if you'd like, you can, if you have any, if you would like to be contacted with questions or comments, you can put your information there as well. I definitely appreciate all those who came here. I want to, first of all, speak this to Sister Chrystal Kizar. Now, I don't know you personally, but I take this this cause personally. You understand? Because for me, it's like the body. What affects one part of the body affects the whole of the body. You understand? And that's something that I believe adamantly. I also believe in the golden rule that I tout so much on these platforms of doing to others what you want them to do to yourself. So, we recognize this from the essence of that we're dealing with an innocent young lady who has over time gotten older, but the issues are issues that affected a young lady. You understand? And dear young lady, I want you to know that we're 101% supportive of your cause, and I'll continue the strive to find ways to put this out there, to put an awareness out there as best as I can while handling the protocols carefully, staying on code, and doing what we can do, and not let this be something that goes under the radar. You understand? I wanted to have the warriors on this panel. You understand? Because I believe that this is something that needs to be loud. You understand? It needs to be, it needs to be affecting hearts and minds amongst our community. If you're all about the boots on the ground, everybody's talking about boots on the ground and, being about the cause. Well, here we got one. You were standing up for Brother Ahmaud. You were standing up for George. Well, let's go ahead and stand up for our sister, Chrystul, right here. You understand? And keep on being strong. We're strong. Let's keep on being strong. Because this is, like I said, we all we have. You understand? If we can't stand up for our own, there's no one else that's going to stand up for us. We got your back, Sister Chrystul. We got your back during what you're going through and after you come out. You understand? The sisters have already made a point. You understand that they're with you, that that you got their support, and that our hearts and our minds are with you. Our prayers, us that are spiritual minded, that have some tradition of prayer or whatnot. Our prayers are with you. We seek that our Most High is comforting you, making easy your going through these circumstances and giving you peace of mind and a way to resolve. And now that your oppressor is gone, at least you will have some type of ease with that. But also that you see that there's a golden element in you, because in you is representing something that's bigger, an awareness, an awareness of your plight, an awareness of your circumstances and others like you that are going through it, so that somehow, some way, brothers and sisters will gain the courage to stand up and find a way to put this to an end, or put it in a way where we've harnessed this. And those people, you perpetrators, you pedophiles, you sex traffickers, that you get afraid. You understand? That you get very afraid. You understand? Because our eyes are open. We're paying attention now. We know your games in the political arena. We know your games in the local arena, in all the different levels. We're paying attention now. So yes, indeed, family. I definitely appreciate all of you coming on board. We got a work cut out, and anytime we have a task that we need to handle in this way, you understand, you're definitely welcome to get back on and shed some light on it. You understand? And so we could do whatever we need to do to shed the proper light on it, to get the proper people involved, to get the proper people aware and alert. That's what Soul Journey of Life is about. Yes, indeed, no doubt. Peace and blessings. Shalom. Salam alaikum. Until next time, you all have a blessed, wonderful rest of your day or night, wherever you are at. And do take care. Stay tuned. Stay in touch. Stay unified.
Thank everyone for everything you're doing.
Grand evening. Grand evening, my family. Grand evening.
Peace and power.
Yes.
Yeah. Blessings.
Take care.
Shalom.
So there you have it. This is the conclusion of this particular episode, and we did it all under 3 hours. I was kind of wondering about that, but it was 3 hours that were necessary, 3 hours that we needed to speak about. I'm going to add one more email here to this banner so you can so we have everybody represented properly. And boom. So that's for Sister Ann's email contact. If you need to, if you have questions or comments, you have that there now. Let me see. I'm just looking at some of the details here. Okay. So yeah, this was, like I said, 3 hours that needed to be to bring this to light, to talk about this. You know, we just have to, like I said, we have to start restoring a sense of regard for our own selves, our own people. You understand? We have to make these things important to us. We can't, we got to get out of the mentality that we're looking for somebody else to stand up for us and protect us and to represent us. We have to rise up and make that happen amongst ourselves. We have to start giving ourselves a reason to rely on us. You understand? Brothers, where are you at? We got a job to do. Sisters, where are you at? We've got a job to do for our own. This is loving ourselves. You understand? This is loving ourselves when you start to stand up and you make sure that you're looking out for one another in the community. Sometimes you may have to just, get a brother or sister, take a walk. You understand? Go out and take a walk. Get off of these lives for just a few minutes. Go out and take a walk. You understand? Pay attention to the Amber Alerts you get on your phone. I get these Amber Alerts. I look at them. I see the license tags and all that. I'm looking to see if there's a white Subaru or whatever. You understand? Pay attention. Start paying attention. Start taking these things seriously, especially when it comes to our own. Get out there, take a walk. You understand? Exercise in the process. If you jog or whatever, take that as an opportunity to go out there and make sure you look at and make sure you're aware of your surroundings, not just for yourself, but for your community, for your people. You understand? This is how we manifest loving ourselves. This is how we begin to restore a sense of importance in one another. You understand? So I'm hoping that we got out what we needed to get out, and it doesn't stop here. It doesn't stop here. All the brothers and sisters that are doing platforms on YouTube, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Excuse me. You understand? Because as long as our sisters and brothers are suffering like this, to where they can't, they're it makes us very vulnerable. It makes us afraid to defend ourselves, to protect ourselves, because we don't know if we're going to end up, facing time, or we don't know what's going to happen. You understand how this system is going to respond, but we can't be afraid. We got to stand up for one another. Can't be afraid. The days of being afraid are long over. The days of dreaming are over. You understand? These are the days of manifesting. You understand? These are the days of manifesting. Enough is enough. You got to be tired. I know this has got to be exhausting. But the only way you're going to put anything, draw out any solutions, the only way you're going to get any benefit, you understand, or anything effective happening, is by standing up and really taking this sincerely. Really just keeping it real. You understand? Say you're a soldier, you say you're a warrior. These are those times where, you're being called to duty. You're being called to duty. Plain and simple. I want to put a banner up here real quick. And this banner's, like I said, I gotta, do the promotion, because that's how, we keep things alive. I'm going to say that if you want to support the efforts of Soul Journey of Life and what's happening here, to be able to get more, involved, more elements like this that's happened today in the forefront, then I definitely beckon that you support Soul Journey of Life, because every effort helps to give me the opportunity to do things like this. You understand? I definitely want to, keep on board, on the team, as an alliance, Sisters of the Underground, Sister Achoti, of course, we already know, so we, and any other people that got similar concerns within the community or abroad, if you've got things that need to be brought to light, you understand, things that need to be out there, that need to be communicated in a way that we need to, that the family needs to be aware of. This is Soul Journey of Life. That's why it's called the Conscious Social Media Platform. This is the type of things that we're to be conscious about. It's not not some kind of fantasy consciousness, but real live things happening to us, real live things that we need to be alert and paying attention to. You understand? That's the consciousness I'm talking about. That's the consciousness I'm talking about. You understand? The things that matter to us, the things that we need to be focused on. Anyway, yeah. So there you have it, family. You know, our support goes to, you know, this cause. Free Chrystal Kizar. Free Chrystal Kizar. With that said, I'm going to draw this to a conclusion. You know, those that are with you, if you say you love them, let them know it. Let them know it. Don't let pride get in the way of people that you care about. Let them know that you got their back. Sometimes it be these little elements, these little actions, the things that we consider not important, that make all the difference regarding, you know, the outcome of the members of society. When people know that they've got people that at home, on the home front, in the community front, that'll look out for them in times of need, it gives them a sense of reassurance. And then it prevents elements like what our dear sister had to suffer from happening from the jump street. You understand? We got to stop it from where it starts. Cut it off from where it starts. Make these people afraid. Make these people afraid. I don't care how much, whatever money they come in with, make them afraid. You understand? There's no time for games. We don't have time to sit there and play games of the lives of our daughters, our sons, our brothers, our sisters, our mothers and fathers. We don't have time to play games anymore with their lives. You've got to take we have got to take these things seriously henceforth, if ever before in our life. This is our story, family. We have to harness, we have to gain the reins of the narration and steer it in a way that favors our interests and our benefits, and that favors our unity, that favors our respect towards one another, that favors us loving one another and appreciating one another, so that when we see each other, we don't just see another person going by, but we see somebody worthy of salute, worthy of salam, worthy of shalom, worthy of peace, worthy of hotep. By default, automatic. You see one that look like you, he's worthy of it. Give it to him. You understand? Give it to him. Give it to her. So with that said, dear family, this is your brother Abdul Adud, aka Questman. Stay on the lookout for 2 new joints coming on. You know, I'll try to get it. I'm looking to get them out before Kwanzaa. So stay on the lookout for that. 2 new joints from Questman. And like I said, you know, I'm just here to, you know, keep this light on. Keep the light on. You understand? Keep the Thelightdome lit, illuminated, bright, shining. Nothing but love from your brother right here for the family. Assalamu alaikum, shalom, hotep, peace be with you. Have a blessed rest of your day or night or evening or whatever the case may be. Take care.
Soul life.